Hey there, this is Greg Spiro, and this is my weekly piano jazz masterclass. Today I'm answering a Weebid question from Jack Ambrose, and the idea, I'm going to pull it up on my Weebid page right now, is beat tips for playing thick, warm-sounding new soul chord progressions. Neo-soul chord progressions gets its roots from a few different genres that were all kind of intertwined with each other. At the beginning of the 20th century, you had gospel and you had jazz and you had blues, and actually country music also. They were all kind of in the same pot, much more so than they are today. And all of them had, except for maybe country, all of them had these interesting throughputs that you see today in neo-soul coming out in different ways. One of these themes is harmonic excitement and interest. So, well, I'll just go through a few of them to start. There's harmonic excitement and interest, there's voice leading, and that's derived essentially from classical, like Bach chorales, which were filtered into gospel music. And then there's unexpected deviations and lead-ins to different chords. So, for example, like if I am keeping this note as my melody up here, and then I'm switching, I was just playing a sort of minor sound, and now I'm playing a major sound, and I'm voice leading from the A flat major 7 to the A minor 7. And you use all the upper extensions in there from jazz, like the 1, 5, 7, 9, 3, 4, which is really the 11, and the 9 there, or I'm sorry, and the 7 up there. Then you're switching between that major and minor sound, and it's a harmonic deviation, so it creates interest in the brain, especially if you have throughputs in voice leading, such as a consistent single note lead here. You could go, or you could go, and then there are other aspects like chromatic planing, simplifying it. I'm just using the same chord. It's just a major 9 chord, and I'm moving it around in unexpected ways. That's one element that can help you give this harmonic interest, and you can use it in different ways, like let's say in minor thirds, Minor chords and sus chords are always pretty good fallbacks. Like here's a sus, G sus to B flat sus to D flat sus. I'm just going up in minor thirds, and now I'm to E sus. I've gone all the way up and back up to G minor, right, or sus. That's super obvious when you keep doing the same exact thing, so don't do that, but I'm using that as an example. The motivic development has a big part in this as well. I'm not really going deep into that, whereas if you do just the going up by minor thirds, there's no motivic development. It's just the same thing repeated over and over. It's not going to be interesting. But if you use that as a mechanism, like that could be a beat. So if you combine those, then you're switching essentially between major and minor, and you're chromatically planing. You can create some really interesting chord progressions that take your ear on a journey, where you're deviating from the expectations, but you're not going random. You're not going so far beyond the expectations that there's nothing to latch onto, but you're deviating enough from the expectations that there's a lot of interest in the harmony itself. And that's what gives you a lot of this feeling of lifting up and pulling down. Metaphorically, if we're talking like major and minor, major is usually a lift. If I'm like I'm in C minor to D minor 9. Now notice the D minor 9 has an E in it, whereas in C minor, it's an E flat. Now when you go from C minor to D minor 9 and have that E in there, it feels like a lift. So that creates harmonic interest. And now, what if you went even brighter and went to E? And by the way, I say brighter because you're going around the side of the circle of fifths that is sharp. You're getting sharper and sharper and sharper, which generally gives this idea of brightness, metaphorically speaking. Whereas if you went flat, you'd go darker and darker and darker. Like, let's give an example of that. So, C minor to E flat minor, that's getting darker, right? Because you're pulling more flats on the other side of the circle of fifths. So C minor, even though it's going upwards, essentially from, like, if you just look at linearly from the bass note perspective, it's getting darker because you have more flats now in E flat minor than you did in C minor. So you're getting brighter and darker, and you use that as a mechanism to create harmonic interest. And then if you were to do it to a beat, like... So see what I'm doing there is I'm starting major, and I'm going to A minor, which is still major, and now I'm creating harmonic interest by switching to A flat, but keeping the same upper note there, the same melody note, which this G becomes the minor 7 of A to the major 7 of A flat, major, and now you've actually entered a darker harmonic spectrum, and you can go down to the F minor, right? So this is darker, this is brighter. So F minor, A flat major, they're both the same scale, which is really, I mean, I'm using a D natural there, so it's actually an E major 7 scale, so the A is Lydian, because you have the sharp 4 there, but then going down to the F, it essentially would be Dorian. But the important thing to note here is that what you have changed from is the C major scale, and then A minor, which is still the C major scale, down to A flat major with the sharp 4, which is the C minor scale. If you listen to Jill Scott's Golden, this gives a really good example of the little harmonic twists that you can hear in a neo-soul progression. So it's in C minor, right? C minor to a B flat major. If it were actually C minor, it would be a B flat, at the very least a B flat dominant 7. And that doesn't sound right, right? It's not interesting. What they did was, so you're changing the scale that you're using in a way that is just, it's not really, there's not exactly a point to it except for it's a little bit brighter. So it's dark, brighter, dark again, then kind of the same, but now the big twist here is when they go to the 4, they play a major 4. And we're in C minor, but then you're going to the major 4, which is a big deviation from C minor. And then they go back to E flat major, which is the same as C minor, and then D minor 9, which is the same as C major, and then C minor. So what you get is this interesting, like, rich chord progression. It goes way further than that. You know, you can chromatically play. You hear Thundercat doing, like, all sorts of weird, seemingly random things, but it's not random. It's actually derived essentially from gospel. And here's where the gospel part comes into it, which is actually very important. There's voice leading. normally voice leading would be staying in the same key, like the simplest voice leading. This is a C over E, right? And now I just went to an F. And back to the C over E, D minor, but using simple voice leading. I'm not going to go into what voice leading is. That I could do a different lesson on that. But now leading to different chords, let's say I wanted to go to G. You can tonicize the G by going C over E and then chromatically planing up. Right now I'm playing a D over F sharp, and now I'm playing a G. So I just got to the G by tonicizing it, meaning you use the F sharp, which is the major 7 of G, which is outside of the original key we were in. We were in C, whereas the F would be natural, and the tritone is there. But now you're changing the tritone to be here, which is implied because you're not playing the C, but you could play the C. And then you're going to the G. And so that's an example of harmonic deviation that can be found and used in these neo-soul progression. But then you can use that concept I was talking about earlier, shifting that major minor sound. Let's say you're here. Now I'm in F minor over A flat, or you could just say A flat major if you wanted to. And then you've got something like, and if you wanted to take it one step further, you could go C over E, D over F sharp, and then keep going. Now you've got E over G sharp, right? But now if you wanted to pull it back, so you're way far from home base now, you're on E major. Now if you wanted to pull it back, you could go to A minor, voice leading, pulling that G sharp up to the A minor, up to the A, and make it an A minor. So now you've got this harmonic progression that deviates and makes it really uneasy on edge, super bright, because you're going on the sharp side of the circle, and then you pull back to your home base essentially when you hit A minor, because that's all the same. Speaking from a diatonic perspective, is the same as C major. So. Okay, so I'm going to also now challenge you to make a 4-chord progression. Just like if you've watched this whole video, do some sort of 4-chord progression and upload it here. Make a link in the comments to it, and I will watch it, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. I'll see if I can make some suggestions. I hope this video was helpful. This was beat tips for playing thick, warm-sounding, new soul progressions, and this was by Jack Ambrose. Thanks so much for the WeBid question. And thanks to everybody who bid on it. It's bid up to $50. I tend to answer these when they get to $50. So if you have any other questions for me and you want to ask them on WeBid, I will be more than happy to answer them once they get to the $50 mark. And for any other artists that want to use the platform, you can just sign up and do this on your own. It's very easy to have your fans submit their ideas to you and then crowdfund those ideas. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next week on Weekly Piano. Thanks a lot, guys. Peace out.